Hello friends. Welcome to another story time. We are diving right back into Goosebumps. Again, suitable for grades 4 and up, I would say. But again, teacher's discretion. We are reading chapter 3 and chapter 4. I'm gonna lump them together because they're very short chapters. That's the one thing I used to love about Goosebumps books when I was younger, is that you could just breeze through a chapter and you feel like you've read so much. All right, so chapter 2 ended with Bird in the basement of the very creepy house, and he was screaming, "Help, it's got me! Someone, please help, it's got me!" And that was the end of the chapter. So let's dive into chapter 3. "It's got me! It's got me!" At the sound of Bird's terrified cries, Greg pushed past Sherry and Michael, who stood frozen in open-mouthed horror. Practically flying down the steep stairway, Greg called out to his friend, "I'm coming, Bird! What is it?" His heart pounding, Greg stopped at the bottom of the stairs, every muscle tight with fear. His eyes searched frantically through the smoky light pouring in from the basement windows up near the ceiling. Bird? There he was, sitting comfortably, calmly, on an overturned metal trash can, his legs crossed, a broad smile on his bird-like face. "Gotcha," he said softly and burst out laughing. "What is it? What happened?" came the frightened voices of Sherry and Michael. They clambered down the stairs, coming to a stop beside Greg. It took them only a few seconds to scope out the situation. "Another dumb joke?" Michael asked, his voice still trembling with fear. "Bird, you were goofing on us again?" Sherry asked, shaking her head. Enjoying his moment, Bird nodded, with his particular half grin. "You guys are too easy," he scoffed. "But Doug," Sherry started. She only called him Doug when she was upset with him. "Haven't you ever heard of the boy who cried wolf? What if something bad happens sometime, and you really need help, and we think you're just goofing?" "What could happen?" Bird replied smugly. He stood up and gestured around the basement. "Look, it's brighter down here than it is upstairs." He was right. Sunlight from the backyard cascaded down through 4 long windows at ground level near the ceiling of the basement. "I still think we should get out of here," Greg insisted, his eyes moving quickly around the large, cluttered room. Behind Bird's overturned trash can stood an improvised table made out of a sheet of plywood resting on 4 paint cans. A nearby flat mattress, dirty and stained, rested against the wall, a faded wool blanket folded at its foot. "Spidey must live down here," Michael exclaimed. Bird kicked his way through the pile of empty food boxes that had been tossed all over the floor. TV dinners, mostly. "Hey, a hungry man dinner," he exclaimed. "Where does Spider heat these up?" "Maybe he eats them frozen," Sherry suggested. "You know, like popsicles?" She made her way towards the towering oak wardrobe and pulled open the doors. "Wow, this is excellent," she declared. "Look!" She pulled out a ratty-looking fur coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Excellent," she repeated, twirling in the coat. From across the room, Greg could see that the wardrobe was stuffed with old clothing. Michael and Bird hurried to join Sherry and began pulling out strange-looking pairs of bell-bottom pants, yellowed dress shirts with pleats down the front, tie-dyed neckties that were about a foot wide, and bright-colored scarves and bandanas. "Hey guys," Greg warned, "don't you think maybe those belong to somebody?" Bird spun around, a fuzzy red boa wrapped around his neck and shoulders. "Yeah, these are Spidey's dress-up clothes," he cracked. "Check out this bad hat," Sherry said, turning around to show off the bright purple wide-brim hat she had put on. "Neat," Michael said, examining the long blue cape. "This stuff must be at least 25 years old. It's awesome. How could someone just leave it here?" "Maybe they're coming back for it," Greg suggested. As his friends explored the contents of the wardrobe, Greg wandered to the other end of the large basement. A furnace occupied the far wall, its ducts covered in thick cobwebs. Practically hidden by the furnace ducts, Greg could see stairs, probably leading to an outside exit. Wooden shelves lined the adjoining walls, cluttered with old paint cans, rags, newspapers, and rusty tools. Whoever lived here must have been a real handyman, Greg thought, examining a wooden work table in front of the shelves. A metal vise was clamped to the edge of the work table. Greg turned the handle, expecting the jaws of the vise to open. But to his surprise, as he turned the vise handle, the door just above the work table popped open. Greg pulled the door all the way open, revealing a hidden cabinet shelf. Resting on the shelf was a camera. Chapter 4. For a long moment, Greg just stared at the camera. Something told him the camera was hidden for a reason. Something told him he shouldn't touch it. He should close the secret door and walk away. But he couldn't resist it. He reached onto the hidden shelf and took the camera in his hands. It pulled out easily. Then, to Greg's surprise, the door instantly snapped shut with a loud bang. Weird, he thought, turning the camera in his hands. What a strange place to leave a camera. Why would someone put it there? If it were valuable enough to hide in a secret cabinet, why didn't they take it with them? Greg eagerly examined the camera. It was large and surprisingly heavy, with a long lens. Perhaps a telephoto lens, he thought. Greg was very interested in cameras. He had an expensive automatic camera which took okay snapshots, but he was saving his allowance in hopes of buying a really good camera with a lot of lenses. He loved looking at camera magazines, studying the different models, picking out the ones he wanted to buy. Sometimes he daydreamed about traveling around the world, going to amazing places, mountaintops, and hidden jungle rivers. He'd take photos of everything he saw and become a famous photographer. His camera at home was just too crummy. That's why all his pictures came out too dark or too light, and everyone in them was had glowing red dots in their eyes. Greg wondered if this camera was any good. Raising the viewfinder to his eye, he sighted around the room. He came to a stop on Michael, who was wearing 2 bright yellow feather boas and a white Stetson hat, and had climbed to the top of the steps to pose. "Wait, hold it," Greg cried, moving closer, raising the camera to his eye. "Let me take your picture, Michael." "Where'd you find that?" Bird asked. "Does that thing have any film in it?" Michael demanded. "I don't know," Greg said. "Let's see." Leaning against the railing, Michael struck what he considered a sophisticated pose. Greg pointed the camera up and focused carefully. It took a short while for his finger to locate the shutter button. "Okay, ready? Say cheese." "Cheddar," Michael said, grinning down at Greg as he held his pose against the railing. "Very funny. Michael's a riot," Bird said sarcastically. Greg centered Michael in the viewfinder frame, then pressed the shutter button. The camera clicked and flashed. Then it made an electronic whirring sound. A slot pulled open on the bottom, and a cardboard square slid out. "Hey! It's one of those automatic developing cameras," Greg exclaimed. He pulled the square of cardboard out and examined it. "Look, the picture's already starting to develop." "Let me see," Michael called down, leaning on the railing. But before he could start down the stairs, everyone heard a loud crunching sound. They all looked up to the source of the sound and saw the railing break away and Michael go sailing over the edge. "No!" Michael screamed as he toppled to the floor, arms outstretched, the feather boas behind him like animal tails. He turned in the air, then hit the concrete hard on his back, his eyes frozen wide in astonishment and fright. He bounced once, then cried out again, "My ankle! Ow! My ankle!" He grabbed at the injured ankle, then quickly let go with a loud gasp. It hurt too much to touch. "Oh, my ankle!" Still holding the camera and the photo, Greg rushed to Michael. Sherry and Bird did the same. "We'll go get help," Sherry told Michael, who was still on his back groaning in pain. But then they heard the ceiling creak. Footsteps above them. Someone was in the house. Someone was approaching the basement stairs. They were going to get caught. And that's the end of chapter 4. All right, guys, I will see you later for chapter 5. I'm really having fun reading this. I hope you are too. Okay, bye.